Hey guys, I'm Dan.
I'm Bob.
I'm Mike.
And today we're looking at Nucleum at the Board Game Rundown. Nucleum is published by Board&Dice and designed by David Turksey and Simone Luciani. I'm trying really hard to say that correctly. We're going to have timestamps for the different sections of this video, such as the how to play, our review, our scores, and stuff like that. So if you have a section you're looking for, feel free to click through the timestamps. But first, we are going to start with a basic rundown on how to play the game. And for that, I'm going to throw it to Bob.
Hey, okay. So in Nucleum, it's a game where you're going to be connecting your cities and networks together and powering up your buildings. There's really only three basic actions that you're going to be taking. You have these action tiles that have these little icons on them, and you're either going to be playing an action tile across the top of your player board and activating one or both of those options, or you're going to be placing your tile out onto the board somewhere, increasing your size of your network. You need to put a worker on there to indicate that it's yours, and you'll get to activate the icons on there as well, as long as you're matching up the colors on either end. Or you're going to be doing what's called a recharge action by gaining your income, recalling all of your tiles, putting out your milestone stars, and you'll be earning those stars by doing energizing and powering your buildings up and doing other types of things throughout the game to earn those. Those are the real basic actions that there are, and there are like a really good player aid that gives you a breakdown of the 6 technically actions that are on these tiles. To explain them more in a more in-depth manner. Like I did in the initial tutorial that Dan was talking about, I did go into more of an in-depth tutorial on what all of those mean. We're not going to go into a bunch of that now, otherwise this video could be easily 30 minutes because it is quite the teach. But those are the basic actions that you will be taking. So I don't know if there's anything else that you guys really wanted me to go in too much on in this tutorial.
People tend to care about endgame, so I'll just say that there are 5 endgame triggers in the game.
Yep.
Once 2 of them are hit, the last round will start. You can still accomplish the other ones during that last round and gain some extra points for doing so, but really you're just getting the first 2 out of the 5 things. So you could get a certain amount of victory points, you could empty one of these things on the board, you could complete all of your technology. There's a bunch of different ways, well, 5, and once 2 of them are accomplished, the end game begins. So people tend to care about, how do I win? Well, that's it, and then victory points, obviously, at the end of the game.
Yeah, because that'll trigger finish that round, and then everybody will get one more round. Yep, and then that will be the end.
Yeah. So that is the very quick rundown on how to play Nucleum. This is a big game, so we're not going to crunch this all in here, but coming out soon, we will actually have a full playthrough of this game, and at the beginning of that, Bob does go into a little bit more of the mechanics of what exactly is going on here. But for this video, we're going to actually review this now and talk about our thoughts. Mike, we're going to start with you in this kind of open discussion section of this. What do you take away from Nucleum after playing it a few times?
I enjoy this quite a bit. I really, the path building is interesting because not only are you trying to set up ways to connect your networks and get your cities all within the same network, it's also really interesting how placing a tile down on the railway can trigger a combo. You can get actions out of that. And that, to me, is one of the most fulfilling parts of the game, is when I can place a railroad down, both sides match, so I get 2 actions, and it completes the railroad, which moves me up the point track. That part right there really, really makes this game sing for me. But also just kind of setting up your energized turns. It takes multiple turns to set those up. You got to have a path to a plant with Nucleum. You've got to have a building connected to the Nucleum. You probably have to have some turbines to carry that Nucleum. And you've got to have enough Nucleum in that path to completely energize the building.
Uranium.
And building up to that feels really, really good. So those are the 2 main things for me that really shine in this game.
Okay, is there anything that you feel like is a first negative that comes to mind that you feel like saying, or no?
There's one nitpick for me. I find this really weird because I have yet to play a game, at least I can't think of a game that does this, where the victory point thing here is a yellow flag, and on all the tiles, it's a yellow flag. But the victory point track, not yellow flags. They're gray gears.
Yeah.
Why don't the victory point icons match?
Right.
That's really strange to me. I don't see the yellow flag. Again, the one that you get from here, even that, Can't this be a gray gear?
Or just change these to flags.
Yeah, or change these to flags. It's
That's
a really weird
way.
nitpick.
Yeah.
But
because so much of the iconography lines up so well that thing being so out of place, it does make it a little
the
odd.
iconography is very strong. But again, I can't think of a game that has them being
Change
different
the symbol
icons.
of the victory point
Changing
icon.
the symbol of icons is just very strange to me. It's a weird choice.
It does feel like, and like you said, it's a nitpick and everything,
is.
right? But it does feel like they got like halfway through the design process and changed their mind on what they wanted the victory point marker to be, but they had already started production on the pieces and they were like, oh, well, we can't change that or something. Like, it does feel like that. I'm not saying that's what happened, but yeah, that doesn't match up. That
and
is
the
very
gears
true.
are thematic. They probably should have used the gears on both, except then maybe it might have been confusing because actually if you look at the development tile, it's got a gold gear there
on it also.
And then, so what? Do you just put a number inside? Yeah. I honestly think that may now be the reason they didn't use the same icon.
Yeah, it could be. But they really should have changed these gears to be the little medallions.
And this could have been any icon at all. So they could have just switched this icon. But, to be thematic, they had to make it a gear.
Sure.
I don't know. It's just, again, it's a nitpick, but I can't think of a game where they mismatch.
Yeah, I remember when we first played, the first game we played, you're like trying to look around, like, what's the victory point thing? And like, well, it's that. He's like, well, that doesn't match what's on there.
It was the first thing I noticed.
Yeah.
Every game
and
matches.
I didn't even notice it at all. That's funny.
So, Bob, what do you kind of think?
I really enjoy this game. I love like the crunchy, worker placement of it. I love these tiles. Like, I like a game where you're just going to keep taking actions until somebody triggers an end game. Like, it's not as fun to me to say, you have 3 workers, you have 5 rounds, there's your 15 actions, make them the best you can. Because that almost then becomes almost solvable at that point, right? It's like, okay, I have 15 actions. Like, I know if I have to do like 4 of these actions to get to this amount of this, and then, but being able to just take actions, and just keep going and pushing your luck. Like, I pushed my luck too much during our game, and I was unable to get my last guy out to get me points for that. And so I ended up having to energize instead of recharge because I took too long, like trying to stretch my turns out, because it's kind of that push your luck where like, what do I stretch my turn out and not recharge quite so long? But then these guys are recharging faster. And then now I'm going to miss out on an opportunity to recharge because now I'm out of turns because the game engine has been triggered. But I do love the spatial kind of puzzle you're putting together about where you wanted to put people. Am I going to be able to get this track built so I can actually get power to the far away location? The race for the milestones to try to get the nucleums and the power plants you want so that you can use your uranium at those locations. The kind of, I don't know about variable market, but like where the coal starts out cheap and everybody can buy coal for cheap, but then as you buy it, it gets more and more expensive. And then by the end, you're paying $3 for every piece of coal you need, so you better have uranium being made somewhere. I love the dual layer boards. I think those are fantastic. I love the way this income system works because you might have your income bars way out here toward the end, but if you're just trying to recharge to gain income, if you only gain out as far as you have your tiles. So you have to place more tiles out in order to get all these points and money and everything that you've pushed all your income bars out to. So that's a nice way to kind of make people slow down a little bit and take more actions as opposed to just kind of like, pushing and getting their milestones out there. So that's super interesting to me.
It's also, I don't know why this would like come into game design. I didn't design the game right, and clearly it's a very tight game, but it also kind of has a secondary effect of punishing someone focusing on railroads. Because if you're putting all your railroads out there and you run out of tiles or you're low on tiles, then you won't get all your income, right? Because you don't have your action tiles up here. Yeah. So this kind of has a way of punishing someone who's trying to expand really quickly. Mm-hmm. And again, I don't know if that was on purpose or an accidental side effect or what, but it is just interesting to me that the income system is tied into what type of action you take, and it can reward or punish you for that. Yeah. Kind of just secondarily. It's not even what it's trying to do. It's just like, oh, and by the way, this is also happening. Right. So that's interesting how that works out. But
also on your player board, it has the kind of like brass does where it tells you what's on the backside already. So you're not kind of like, well, which one does this one do? Wait, what does this one do? So it's got all the information broken down for you, so that makes it super easy to reference. These player aids are done really good. Mm-hmm. They're all asymmetrical for all the individual boards and whatnot because it's very asymmetrical. Even this little insert pops out depending on what board you get. It'll change that up a little bit. My biggest nitpick on the game though is the colors they chose to use. Like if you watch our playthrough, literally I put a piece down and I was about to activate this orange action because I thought it was an orange building, and it's not. It was a green section. So I'm going to have to go through with a marker, I believe, and probably put like a letter or something next to each city name so I can know at an easy glance what it is. But these green and orange choice was very weird, and even the gray should be. I feel like it should be more white because it's kind of like more of the gray, and it looks almost like a green to me. And this just looks like a dirty orange. Like the color palette. Now on the tiles themselves, not a problem. I can tell that one's green. Obviously, I can tell that one's white. Obviously, but like when you hold that up there, that doesn't look like it matches at all. Look how much lighter this is compared to that, but that matches, right? That's supposed to be the white and the gray.
The white on the board really needs to pop and not be gray.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to get it confused with some of the other regions.
Yeah. So that's my biggest nitpick on it. Colorblind, I figure it's happens more often than I would like for it to, but really wish that could be addressed. Like I said, easy fix. I'll probably mark it with a marker. At least the tiles are easy to tell apart. But no, like I like the crunchiness of it. I like, it took us 2.5 hours to play through our game, but I don't feel like it overstayed its welcome. Like I felt like I was still like working on I got these turbines out. Okay, I want to build a couple more mines. Like I still felt like I was like trying to do stuff. Then also I'm like, you trigger the end of the game, and then we had one more turn and that was it. And I was like, dang it, like I was not ready for it. But I think the scoring system of the milestones is super unique. So at the end of each round, once you finish a stack of your stars getting put out there, there's a scoring phase where somebody in the first place gets 6 points, and the next place gets 2 points. But at the end of the game, depending on where your stars are at, you might score some of those places, some of those banners twice. So if I know that, I'm getting all my turbines out, I want to get one of my stars because you only have 1 star per color segment. But I can get 1 star all the way up at the top. I can get another star up at the 26, and now I'm going to get to score my turbines twice, and that's 6 times for one and 5 times for the other. Huge points, right? So being able to make sure you get your achievement points and your stars, to get up that milestone track and get in the right segment, like that math is super fun to try to do too. It's a ton of fun. Like I really enjoy this game. I love that it's crunchy. And I played it with my niece, and she liked it. She didn't do really good, but she thought it was super interesting. Well, she's in college, so she's not. She's
Oh, okay.
She's 10. I'm like, take that. Like that little girl. No. But she enjoyed it. She liked how crunchy it was, and those tough decisions that you have to make, and the trying to plan and organize things out. And I'm sure she'd do much better her second time around. But no, I really enjoyed this game. I wish the color palette was a little bit different, but I don't know. It's super crunchy, and I like it.
I agree with most things that have been said already. This is clearly a tightly well-designed game. There is so much good going in here. That some of the decisions they've made with the design here so first of all, we've said over the years of mechanics that are not very popular or just starting to be in games or stuff like that are please do more of that. That's a great idea. So an example is your turns being time oriented, right? To where if you take an action that costs 3 and I take an action that costs 2, then I get to go again, right? Whoever's furthest back gets to keep going until they pass whoever. It's always whoever's furthest back that goes. That is a fantastic turn taking system, I think, and I like to see more of that. And this has a different type of turn thing that Bob talked about that I also love seeing in games, and it's kind of like the how far can I push my turn is what I tend to call it. You can just keep going. You can say by taking this action, it gives me this resource, which lets me fund this action that I wouldn't have been able to take. I was gonna have to end my turn, but because I took this action, I can now take another action. Mm-hmm. But sometimes it is smarter to end your turn earlier and set up your next turn instead. And that decision, I think, is a huge part of this game of saying, so even again, going into what you were saying with, if you can somehow, let's say that I have 26 stars and on my next turn, I could energize a building and gain a bunch more stars. But I really want to end on that 26 slot knowing that I'll probably get above it later and I'll double my scoring on that scoring tower, right?
Yeah.
So ending now is smarter than actually getting better income, getting all these other better things because I'm setting up an end game goal. That is going to happen a lot in this game, and I think it's going to be the biggest thing that separates you doing well and you doing poorly is how you time the ending of your turns. It's not even going to necessarily be what you did on your turn, because that will matter, taking the actions that are most important. And yes, obviously, if I have 2 actions I can take and one of them is related to a board space and one of them is just upping my tracks, I should probably take the board space one first so that no one else can ruin that. No one's going to mess with my tracks, right? So there is that kind of stuff in there. But I think knowing when to recharge is maybe the most important thing, just from what I've seen in this game. The nitpicks that have been said are 100% valid, and I agree with the idea of them. The victory point thing not matching is a very weird design choice. I personally don't care at all when that happens in games, but I get that it clearly should match.
Yeah.
Like that clearly should be the case, and it's going to bother people if it doesn't. The colors don't bother me at all. I think the board looks great, and I also don't see how gray can be confused with any of the other colors. so I don't care. I'm talking about for non-colorblind people. Like I just don't see it at all.
It depends on the lighting. At Bob's house, he has not white lighting.
Yeah.
He has those
Like
yellow
kinda.
bulbs. And these colors, some of these colors do blend together for me at his house.
Again,
So
everyone's
working
eyes
on
work
that.
different. Again, I'm saying to me, that doesn't matter at all. But that is something that is important in game design to pay attention to, especially when you start getting into colorblind stuff. The industry is much better now than it used to be.
Correct.
But that is something that needs to be, the fact that Bob made, you'll see in our playthrough when it's out, Bob confused the green and the orange quite a few times. That shouldn't be happening. There's plenty of versions of green and orange out there that are indistinguishable. Even you were saying the ones on here are fine.
Yeah.
So
saturate the color more.
Yeah. So that's just something that needs some more attention paid to, unfortunately, in game design. But this is a very, very interesting mixture of, you have this little bit of like a Ticket to Ride in there, although I wouldn't compare it to that at all, really, if I was explaining to someone. I'm just saying the way that the rails score is very similar, with the getting the long tracks, completing the tracks scores you a certain amount of points for the length of the track, whatever. But it also has this, I've been kind of just comparing it to myself to like a Power Grid and like a Brass Birmingham feel, like I'm kind of doing those two games at once. The feeling that you're doing here is very good, if a bit stressful and annoying. When I play this game, I feel like every move I make is the wrong move. And every time you do something, you're just like, oh man, now that I see that, I can't believe that I did that. Or I'll be like, okay, I need to take this action. And as long as Mike doesn't put a mine in that spot, then I'm setting up my next action perfectly. I'm going to do this. Mike's gonna place a mine. You son of a gun! It just happens so much in this game, whenever you have a spatial thing in this game. My biggest nitpick, and I think it's slightly more than a nitpick, but it also could be completely incorrect, so I'll balance it in the middle there as just a nitpick, is I don't think that the game of Praha is interesting at all, and I don't find that to be good game design. Basically, in Praha, if you build there, you get double points. It's whatever. The problem is, I feel like somebody's watching me. But also, I feel like stuff like this, mini games like this end up in games because it's a game where they want you to interact with other players and you don't have to. Bob stayed on that side of the board the whole time. We never even built over to him. Mike eventually started doing something over here, but I'm saying like we never connected the routes over there. So Bob had an entire self-sufficient engine over there and didn't need us, and we didn't need him. That's what I tried to do the first time I played, was kind of build off by myself, and people wound up connecting to me. But so it's a game where you have all these things where if you build on other people's tracks, they get actions. And if you build towards other people's turbines, you pay them for the uranium that you're putting through there and everything. So it wants you to interact, but you don't have to. And this feels like a game design of like, well, let's just slap something on the board where we want them to fight each other. That basically is just on the board saying, hey, everyone rush here, or if one person gets it, they have a good chance of winning, just if they can get that spot up and running. Like you can get that spot worth like 60 points or something.
If you do it right, you can put all your big score buildings there, energize them all, and they're double points.
Right, and so you say that sentence, and someone's response would just be, oh, well, just don't let them do that. Put your buildings there. Right, that's what I'm saying. That's lazy game design to me, saying we need them to interact, so we'll just put this building here, and hopefully this makes them fight. I don't like that at all in games. And I do feel like the first time I played, the person won basically because of that
he did
spot.
Yeah, we didn't pay attention to him, and he loaded that up.
Now this time, obviously, the person did not win off of this spot, but also it's because we didn't build anywhere near it at the beginning, and we got there really late game. So it had an effect on the game. Like you got some nice points for it, but it wasn't like game changing. That's just my biggest nitpick, is it's not even just that in this game. I'm just saying that type of design of let's force the players to fight each other because we want them to. I don't like that at all. That's just mine. But that is literally, I think, my negative for the game. The only other negative I have is just that crunchy games are very stressful for me, and I don't want to play them very often. I love them when they're well designed. I love Wayfarers of the South Tigris. I love Hegemony, but I don't want to play these games all the time. And so while I like this game, it is a good game. I'm not going to be giving it like a 9 out of 10 or anything is all I'm saying. Because it's like, oh, I'm done playing this now, and we've reviewed it, and I'm just like, let's put this away for like 6 months. I don't know about this for me. So anyway, those are most of my thoughts on the game. So we're going to now go into a final rating category where we're going to rate this game out of 10, but we'll still kind of give some specific opinions during that section that may relate directly to score. So let's get into that. Bob.
Yeah.
I just kind of said it, but how do we rate games here? Board Game Rundown.
So we're going to give this score based on 1 to 10. You use 0.5 for some variety. Now we're going to take our scores, we're going to average them together and give you one score. The Board Game Rundown is going to give it, and that'll be the score you see on BGG and everything else. So.
Okay. Mike. Sorry, buddy, you're first because it's been the longest since you talked.
That's okay. I've got a chance to play this 3 times now, all at 3 or 4 players. I'd really like to see a 2-player game, actually.
Okay.
I want to see
the board is
I want to see how much tighter the map is and how much that would change the route building. Mm-hmm. But this is an 8.5 for me. I really like what this game does. I sometimes find that there are some games that can be a bit overbearing, fiddly for the sake of fiddly sakes. And this does not feel like one of those games. Every action makes a lot of sense. A lot of the actions work off of each other, and every action feels meaningful. And like Dan said, there's so many times during the game you're like, oh, that was stupid. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? That was so dumb. Every action really feels meaningful, and it feels tight. It feels like I'm accomplishing something. I know Dan said he felt like he wasn't accomplishing anything.
And then
he won, but he also did pretty well with these milestones, which is a very unique way to do in-game scoring. And like you said, the timing of when you pass at the end of the round and turning these stars in to move up this track and multiply these, which can change from game to game. The combos that you get when you put those railroads down are very fulfilling. Building up towards your energize turns and getting to energize one huge building on a turn feels really fulfilling. So everything in this game feels tight. It feels well designed. I don't feel like there's a ton of wasted actions. I like the way all the pieces come together, and things feel really good when you get them to proc on your turn. So it's an 8.5. I definitely recommend it, and I can't wait to play it again.
Nice. Go ahead, Bob.
Well, I would like to give it a 9, but with the color issues I have with something so basic, Mike is right. It's an 8.5. I can't wait to play it again. Spoilers, it's jumped into my top 50. And yeah, I really enjoy it. I love the crunchiness of it, and I love that we just keep taking turns. And the turns aren't like forever. Like, okay, well, 20 minutes later, it's my turn. But no, it's like some of the turns are going. Dan was like, oh, it's my turn again already? Like, some of the rounds just go that fast. And like, it's kind of like Mosaic in that way, where it's like, yeah, you're playing this long, epic game, but the turns are so fast that it doesn't feel like you're sitting there that long because you're constantly like almost doing something like almost all the time. And I appreciate that.
Maybe you feel that way, Bob, because everyone else's turns are fast. But I actually feel like this is a game that's going to force AP on people. So I'm going to say the exact opposite of what Bob just said. I feel like this has kind of a terracotta army thing going on, where there is so much that changes between your turns that you might have had a plan that falls apart, or also, again, you have let's say towards the end of the game, I have 10 action tiles. Each action tile has 2 actions on it. I can either put that up here or put it down on a track. If it's on the track, the colors matter, so I need to make sure I'm lining up those correctly. I need to have a person if I'm going to put it on the track, and if not, I need to make sure that the actions I'm doing are efficiently being done, because if I can only do one of the actions, what a waste. And all these are going through your head constantly. No, again, it's good, but it's going to force AP on people. There are some people that I'm not sure I would play this game with.
Fair point.
And that's just a thing that's going to happen in some games. And not necessarily a negative for this game. I'm just saying there are games. Terracotta Army is a good game, but it is also AP the the game, you know?
I will mention that the guy we played with the first time, Ben, is notorious for taking long times on his turn, and he didn't do that bad.
Sure, yeah. This is I don't know. It's a good game, but I think I'm gonna actually fall on a 7 for it. Wow. I was thinking higher at first, but again, the simple fact
first
is
impression's usually right.
When I think of the simple fact is when I think of like how often I'm gonna want to play this game. And also when I think of all the other games that are like 7s and 8s for me and everything, this one isn't there with those games for me. It's a good game, but I don't think I can go above a 7. Now I would recommend it. Again, if you like crunchy, economic games. Kind of action, it's
selection.
Yeah, but like also like engine build. You're like almost building an engine with your actions. It's like this really interesting combination thing that's going on down there. And so it's a really good game that I don't know if I'll play again is the thing. Like I probably will, but will I be the person that says, oh, I want to play Nucleum today? Probably not. There's just other games with a similar weight or a similar, heavy feel that I would rather do instead. So I think I'm actually going to personally fall in a 7 for Nucleum, but also say, check it out, especially if this or our playthrough looks interesting to you.
So if you take our scores and we average them together, it's an 8.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
And I think an 8 is a fantastic landing point for this game. I think with 3 people reviewing it, that's the other thing I was going to say. I wouldn't play this game with more than 3. I played with 4 the first time, and not only does the time between your turns go up, especially if you're playing with an AP person, but the game time was like an hour longer.
What was our first game?
Of course, no, not your guys's.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, it was my first game.
It was your first game.
Right. Yeah.
I'm waiting on you.
Going down from 4 to 3 players took almost an hour off this game, and I think it's an hour well worth cutting off. This game is far too crunchy and thinky to be more than 3 hours. I don't want to do that. And again, though, that's the reason I can't go higher on my rating for this game is because like Hegemony was a 5-hour game the first time we played it, and it was worth every second to me. Twilight Imperium is a 5-hour game if you play it, and it's worth every second. This one's not. I want this game to play in 2 hours, 2.5 hours. That's what I want for this game. It should sit there, and if we get it down to 2 hours, yeah, I'll play this more often. Let's play this once every 2 months or something, once every month.
Deal.
But we need to get that game time down.
Okay. If we take out the bathroom break, it'd be about
yeah, you're right. So anyway, though, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for enjoying this video. And thank you for liking and subscribing, because I know you already did, because you're awesome. Yeah. Don't forget to ring that bell if you actually want it showing up in your notification box. If you want to support us for more videos like this, we do have a Patreon that we'll have down. You might have even seen a commercial earlier. Thank you so much for watching. From the Board Game Rundown, I've been Dan.
Bob.
I was Mike.
And this was Nucleum. We'll see you next time.
If you can say the title's only 3 words.